welcome to Pokemon Lair. Tonight we'll be unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards that I sent to Professional Sports Authority over a year ago, and I just got them back. They sent them in these nice boxes, really nicely packed so they don't get damaged in shipping. Let me get them out of the box and we'll see what grades I got. Our grade review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Rockets Moltres Holo First Edition number 12 card. Looking at the front surface of this card, you can see the Holo is nice and shiny. Looks really good. You can see the pattern in there. Looking at our edges, they look really clean, and so do the corners. Looking at the centering looks really good from side to side and top to bottom. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that it looks really nice and clean. Looking at the centering is off to the right, but top to bottom is not too bad. And looking at our edges and corners, you can see that those are really pretty clean. And with that, it'll produce us a grade of Mint 9, a 2000 Moltres Mint 9. Our grading review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Sabrina's Gengar, a Holo First Edition, the number 14 card. Looking at the front of this card, you can see that it looks really good. The Holo is nice and shiny. You can see the optics behind there. Looking at the centering, it looks really good from top to bottom and side to side. And looking at the edges and the corners, they look really clean. Continuing to the back, you can see that the surface looks really clean. I don't see any problems or damage. Looking at our centering, it is slightly off to the left, and our top to bottom looks pretty good. Looking at all the corners and the edges, they look pretty good to me. And that'll give us a grade of Mint 9 from PSA. That's pretty good. Our grading review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Sabrina's Venomoth, a first edition number 34 card. Looking at the front surface of the card, you can see that there's no damage. Nothing going on there. Looking at the centering looks good from left to right and top to bottom. And looking at our edges and our sides and top edges, you can see that there's no damage there. Continuing to the back, you can see that the surface looks really good. When we move on to the centering, you can see that it is quite off a bit to the left of the card. That's probably way out of the grade 9 tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, they look really clean. And our grade's going to be a excellent Mint 6. Wow. I thought that'd be a lot better than that. Our grading review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Erika Trainer, a Holo First Edition card, the number 16. And we look at the front surface and I see that the holographics look really good. There's no scratches. Our centering looks good from left to right and top to bottom. Our edges and our corners are pretty crisp and clean. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that the surface looks really good, but looking at our centering, it's slightly to the left. And finally, looking at our edges and our corners, you can see that the upper right corner has some slight damage to it. And with that, it's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. Awesome possum. I love it. Our grade review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Blaine's Kangaskhan, a first edition number 36 card. Looking at the front surfaces of this card, you can see there's no damage to the front of the card. Our centering looks pretty good from side to side and top to bottom. Our edges and our corners have no damage that I can tell. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that there's no damage to the surface of the card. We move on to our centering. Our top to bottom centering looks pretty good. Our left to right, though, is slightly to the left. And looking at our edges, they look good. Continuing to the corners, though, our upper right corner has some damage. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. I like that for a Kangaskhan. Our grading review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Blaine's Kangaskhan, a first edition number 36 card. Looking at the front surfaces of this card, you can see there's no damage to the front of the card. Our centering looks pretty good from side to side and top to bottom. Our edges and our corners have no damage that I can tell. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that there's no damage to the surface of the card. We move on to our centering. Our top to bottom centering looks pretty good. Our left to right, though, is slightly to the left. And looking at our edges and our corners, our upper right corner has some damage. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. I like that for a Kangaskhan. Our great review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Misty, a trainer, a Holo First Edition card. It's the number 18 in the series. Looking at our front surface, you can see that it's really clean. There's no scratches or damage to the holographics. Our centering looks really good from right to left and top to bottom. Our edges are clean and so are our corners. Flipping the card over, you can see that the back looks just as good as the front. Our surface looks great. Our centering is even better than, looks really good from the side to side and top to bottom. Looking around, our edges look good and our corners, we have a little slight damage on the upper right. And we'll end up with a grade of Mint 9. Awesome. Misty grade, got a good grade. Our grade review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Brock's Geodude, a first edition number 38 card. Looking at the surface of this card, you can see there's no damage or any problems with it. Looking at our centering from left to right and top to bottom, you can see that it looks really good. I don't see any issues there. Our corners and our edges are really clean. Flipping over to the back, you can see that the surface looks really good. There's no problems there. Our centering looks good from right to left and top to bottom. The only issue I see is with our corners. We have a little damage to the upper right and the lower left. But the rest of our edges are clean. And our grade for Geodude is going to be a PSA Mint 9. Not too bad for an old Geodude. Our grade review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Brock's Golem, a first edition number 20 card. The front surface of this card shows no damage at all. It looks really nice and clean. Our centering looks pretty good from right to left and top to bottom. And finally our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage on them. Looking at the back, you can see that the surface looks really clean. No damage that I can find. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom actually look really good on this card. And finally, looking at our edges, they look clean, but we do have a slight damage on both upper corners. And looking at our grade of Mint 9. Nice. Golem got a 9. Our grade review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Brock's Graveler, a first edition number 40 card. The front surface of this card shows no damage. I can't see any. I look pretty good. Our centering looks pretty good from left to right and top to bottom. Our corners and edges show no damage. Looking at the back, you can see that the surface looks pretty good. Our centering doesn't look too bad from top to bottom and left to right. It's probably within tolerance. And looking at our edges and our corners, I can see a little damage to the upper corners. And Graveler's going to get a grade of a PSA Mint 9. 20 plus year old card, Mint 9. Our grade review of a 2000 Pokemon Gym Heroes Misty's Tentacool, a first edition number 32 card. Looking at the front of this card, I see no damage or scratches. We continue on to the centering, and the centering of this card looks really good from side to side and top to bottom. And finally, looking at our corners and our edges, I see no damage on them at all. Continuing to the back, you can see that the surface looks really good. Looking at our centering from top to bottom and side to side, you can see that the centering is to the lower left. And finally, looking at our edges and corners, you can see that there's a little bit of damage to the upper and lower right corner. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. Not too shabby.